What is so inspiring about those scientific papers that I usually read and I have read ever since I was quite young? Because I started at 19, more or less. I started reading Einstein's paper on the electrodynamics of moving bodies, so where he derives the laws of special relativity. And ever since the start, it was quite difficult for me to read those papers because, of course, high school is not enough to understand that kind of mathematics and Einstein's reasoning. It is quite difficult also because Einstein was far beyond the capabilities of a high school student. Even if the mathematics used by Einstein was not difficult at all, because it was just mathematics that is studied during university here in Italy, but I think that it is not so different abroad, in other countries. The most beautiful thing to me was to see how Einstein reasoned to find his theory. Not just the article on special relativity, but also in his other articles. I really love the way that he explains a concept. Even if his physical insight is really profound, there is also a profound, let's say, use of mathematical concepts. The equations are explained intuitively, but he makes use of a lot of mathematics. So it is not true what people might say, that Einstein was not a proficient user of mathematics. He did not know mathematics. Sometimes people go too far and say something like this. But of course it's not the case. Not just for the theory of general relativity actually, but also for his theory of special relativity and other theories. For example, the theory on the photoelectric effect, where Einstein analyzes the equation that Planck derived just by using a mathematical trick. It is quite difficult at first if you're not used to reading such amazing papers, but it is possible to do that, to understand the equations and the way he explains quite deeply. I don't have too much time to read these papers because of life. Now, for example, I'm driving to work, from home to work, and it takes me about 25 minutes. So my work is not remote. I cannot work from the computer. My company doesn't deem appropriate to work from home. So I think that maybe it can be some kind of misconception in a world which is moving forward. I work from the computer, but in my office. How different would it be if I worked from home? I don't think there would be any significant difference in the way I work. I currently live in a small city called Rimini, near the coast of the Adriatic Sea, and I'm going from Rimini to Villa Verrucchio, which is not far from Rimini. It's about 20 kilometers, so it takes me about 20-25 minutes to reach my workplace. Sometimes I get stuck in the traffic and it might require some more time, but anyway, then I work from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and I described my job in the previous video, so it is unrelated, completely unrelated to mathematics and physics, but that is just a passion for me. As of late, my channel is focusing on sharing the beauty of mathematics and physics papers, in particular physics papers from the likes of Einstein. The things that strike me the most are not just the logical reasoning that these great scientists would have in those papers. I really like the fact that once upon a time, hundreds of years ago, these great scientists had way more time than workers nowadays have, because nowadays our lives on the average are way more hectic, quite stressful, because you have to do several things. You don't have too much time to think. So when you're doing something, you might be interrupted because there is something else that takes precedence. That's what I don't like about hard times. The fact that you don't have time to think. Of course, I'm not trying to generalize this, because for everyone it can be different, but on the average, what I have observed is that people have less time to think in general, on the average. And not just because of social media, because that's another negative part to it. So if you follow social media, if you go to Twitter, to Instagram, to Facebook, to also YouTube is a little different, but also YouTube might cause you to become addicted. And if you're addicted to something, then you cannot really focus on something else. And sometimes it is also quite difficult to realize this. And that's also a way for me to escape from reality, let's say. Because as I said, reality does not allow me to think in general the way I would like to think. So I take the opportunity to read these papers also because I immerse myself in a beautiful environment where I just visualize these great scientists and the way they would think and the way they make me think. They simply allow me to reason in a different way. This is quite philosophical, I know that, but I also believe that in life sometimes you should be philosophical because you have to think abstractly. Even if these thoughts seem abstract, and they are, we are not just made of flesh, we are made of thoughts as well. And psychologically we feel better if we think about those things that attach a greater significance to our everyday life, our everyday routine. I find a lot of significance in physics and mathematics and in trying to teach other people. Teaching other people is beautiful in my opinion because if you teach, that person or those people will have something of you in them. You will be alive also in those people. And I adore thinking about that. Especially now that I'm stuck in the traffic here. There are so many slow trucks that are slowing me down. So it's quite comforting to think about physics and mathematics while I'm stuck in quite an ugly situation. Nothing major, of course. Every day is like that, more or less, from Monday to Friday. Then when I go back home from work, if I have time, I may record videos for my online courses. And now I'm reaching my workplace, getting closer. Another day is gonna start. And I have to, unfortunately, stop thinking about mathematics and physics, but I have to think about wrapping machines and the industrial world and talking with customers. So it might be quite challenging, but that's the way it is. You have to face these challenges. Yeah, my phone even fell down, but now I have reached my workplace. So I have to brace myself, and it's not that bad, of course. Hopefully I will find a time to make more and more videos. Time to call it quits. Bye.